Okay, let's dive right into a really pivotal passage from Albert Camus' The Stranger. We're looking at a moment that happens in the quiet of a prison cell, but trust me, it reveals absolutely everything about a man's relationship with himself.
So, it all kicks off with this simple, almost bizarre puzzle. Our narrator, Meursault, is looking into his makeshift mirror, a tin plate, and he tries to smile. But the guy looking back at him just won't do it. Instead, he sees a total stranger with a sad, stern expression.
So what's going on here? Why won't his reflection cooperate? This isn't just some weird optical illusion. It's a deep psychological mystery, and we're going to treat it like one. We're going to piece together the clues Camus leaves for us and solve this thing together.
To figure out why that reflection won't smile, we first have to understand the environment that created it. We need to look at what prison has actually done to Meursault's mind.
It really all begins with a complete breakdown of time. You know, out here in the real world, our days have names. Monday, Tuesday, Friday. They have a rhythm. For Meursault, that entire structure has just completely dissolved.
He just nails this paradox, doesn't he? Each individual day feels like an eternity to get through. But because every day is exactly the same, they just blur together, flowing into one another until they lose all meaning.
This is basically his new reality. His whole sense of time just collapses. Forget Monday, forget July. All that's left are these two fuzzy ideas floating in the void, yesterday and tomorrow. Everything else is just one long present.
So you can imagine, when a guard casually says he's been locked up for 5 months, the number is meaningless to him. I mean, he believes it on some level, but he can't feel it. In his own mind, it's just been one single incredibly long day in that cell.
So he's in this timeless void. His identity's starting to fray at the edges, and then he finds a scrap of an old newspaper. And on it is this strange story that becomes a kind of dark mirror for his own situation.
He gets absolutely obsessed with this tragic little tale from Czechoslovakia. He reads it over and over again, 1,000 times, he says. This isn't just about killing time. He's absorbing a powerful, if grim, lesson from it.
Okay, so here's how the story goes. A man comes home after being away for 25 years. He's rich now, and he wants to have this happy surprise reunion with his mother and sister, who run a small hotel.
He decides to play a little game, a joke. He checks into their hotel as a stranger, flashing his money, but hiding his identity, planning this big reveal for later.
But the joke turns into an absolute horror story. Seeing only a rich guest, his own family murders him with a hammer while he sleeps so they can steal his money.
The next day, when they discover who he really was, the truth just completely destroys them. The mother hangs herself, and the sister throws herself down a well. A simple game with identity ends in total annihilation.
Now, this is the absolute crucial point. Meursault's conclusion. It's not horror, it's not pity, it's this cold, detached logic. The traveler got what he deserved. And why? Because you should never play games, especially not with who you are.
So, armed with this chilling lesson that trying to be someone you're not is a fatal error, we go back to Meursault in his cell. Back to him staring at that unsmiling face in the tin plate.
And this is where a huge shift happens. He's been so fixated on what he sees, this external image that feels totally alien to him. But then, for what feels like the first time, he becomes aware of what he can hear.
It hits him. He recognizes his own voice. He realizes that the sound that's been filling his cell for months, that constant background noise, was actually him. He's been talking to himself this whole time without even knowing it.
And now we can put all the pieces together. We've got the context, we've got the dark parable, and we've got the final breakthrough. We can finally solve the mystery of the unsmiling reflection.
So check out how it all lines up. The loss of time erodes his identity. The traveler's story warns him about the danger of playing with that identity. The unsmiling reflection is the physical symptom of his alienation. And finally, hearing his own voice, that's the first real step back toward recognizing himself.
So you see, the reflection isn't being stubborn, it's being honest. Meursault is trying to force a smile, to play a game, just like the traveler did. But his reflection is showing him the truth. In the void of prison, he really has become a sad, stern person. That face in the tin plate is who he is right now. The breakthrough doesn't come from looking at his external image. It happens when he stops looking and starts listening. He recognizes the sound of his own internal monologue, the voice that's been with him all along.
Which leaves us with one last fascinating question to think about. By finally recognizing his own voice, by acknowledging the man in the reflection not as a stranger but as a true version of himself, is this the exact moment Mersal stops being a stranger to himself? Maybe this isn't just a moment of realization. Maybe it's a kind of rebirth.